Peace family. So I'm back with another one. Today what I want to do is I wanted to talk to my chosen ones about how you cannot skip stages. They will try to skip all the stages, but you cannot skip stages out here in this spiritual battle. You know, whether you trying to do it from a warrior's perspective, whether you trying to do it from a creative perspective, whether you just trying to do it from a loving perspective, you will not be able to skip stages. Being able to skip stages is like you being born, you reaching 1 year old, and you're like, oh man, I just really want to be 10 years old right now. And then you just skip all the other ages and everything else you got to go through in between there. You're not allowed to do that. Like, when we observe nature out here, there's a lot of structure to this whole realm. But these witchy demons and these witches got us all misconstrued and got us on I, me, self. So much to the point that you don't even realize that every year these trees lose their leaves. Every tree that's this same type of tree, we see the other kind of pine trees that keep theirs, but they always lose them. But you don't see trees dying out at the end of, you know, their winter season. They all usually prepare. There's a really complex structure underground to where their whole root structure is all sharing. You'll never drive or ride anywhere and see a bunch of dead trees. It's not how it works. You look at the birds. You don't ever catch birds out at nighttime. I don't care what part of the world you in. You don't see birds out at nighttime. It's part of their structure, their blueprint that they follow. They know they gotta take their ass to wherever they go to when the sun is down. It's so much structure to this thing that once you start comprehending, you understand how confused and lost the beings are. You know, we supposed to be overseeing this realm. But then the witchy witches got us all trying to skip stages, trying to move past, go. You know, you don't get your $200. Like, it's so weird and confusing out here, right? You got parents who were shitty parents, live a certain lifestyle, then their children have kids, or children. I hate saying kids because it's baby goats. They have children, little people, but then those parents don't try to make amends with their child. They skip over all of that right there and try to go straight to being a grandparent. You don't get to skip stages. You don't get to, like, put people that you're supposed to care about, that you bring into this realm, into weird demonic spaces, you know, or just not be there for them at certain times of need, and then just feel as though you get to, oh yeah, I'm gonna skip right past you. I know I fucked you over, you know what I'm saying? But I want to see my grandbaby, how my grandbaby's doing. I want to get my grandbabies this, I want to get my grandbabies that. And it's like, if I couldn't skip a stage from not having to experience what I had to experience when I wasn't in full control of, like, the roofing and things that's over my head, and that's over any of ours, at a certain point in our lives, until we get to a certain age, like, the ones who are caregivers are responsible for us to a certain degree. Not saying like we aren't responsible for ourselves. We are extremely responsible beings. It's just with more distractions, it makes us feel like we're less responsible, you know, and we hold ourselves to a higher standard spiritually. So then we kind of, that's when we kind of hit ourselves a little bit. But this skipping stage thing, man, it gets rough, because even when you process, like, dealing with friends, you know, and for me, I cannot say that I had friends that I grew up with for a long time, because I lived in New York until I was like 10, 11. Then I moved down to Virginia. And then I was still like, I went to a bunch of different like middle schools before my mom got us stamped in a location. So it was just like a lot of moving around until high school. And then even after high school, that was 4 years of high school. Then right after high school, because my ass ain't had no guidance or direction, I did what I wanted to do, and I ended up in prison, which was, now I'm gone somewhere else for another 3 years. You know what I mean? So, and then getting back out, and then I'm still like, so I just never was like stamped to where it's like, oh yeah, well, I grew up with them for a long time, you know, or no. It's people that I known for a long time. It's a lot of people that know me. It's not like I'm not known around my way, but I'm just saying, like, people already had circles and things established. I just use me as an example because I'm a regular person. I'm a regular being out here in these streets. You know what I mean? Like, I'll never put myself in a position where it's like, oh yeah, well, you're better than everyone. No, I would say I'm more knowledgeable than some people because I just put in a lot of work. That's like somebody who's like really good at what they do. You have to acknowledge what you're really good at because that's what you do. You put your time in there. But I never tried to skip any stages for that. Even the things that I just named, I understood that, all right, from New York to Virginia, I minimized all my cousins, some of my siblings, you know, a lot of my friends I was growing up with, to being in Virginia, to where now I'm making all new for a little while. But I understood that I had to let that go. Like, I could hold on to it and be like, oh man, I just really want to go see my friends. But when I was younger, it was no cell phones, it was house phones. And I don't remember getting a lot of their house numbers or trying to keep in contact with the ones whose house numbers I didn't have once I moved, you know. But I say that to say, like, I was taking those steps in stride, just even as a young boy, just understanding, like, you gotta keep going. Like, not saying that it wasn't effective, because a lot of them I was with, like, on a daily basis. So then it just get, whoop, now you out of there. You gotta learn how to keep it moving. I couldn't skip no stages, you know what I mean? You gotta learn how to roll the dice when it's your turn. Play the fair game, man. Like, I'm not a sore loser. I don't mind losing. I know a lot of us don't mind losing because we know we learn in the process. But it's a lot of beings out here that won't even play the game fair. So when you're not paying attention, they're gonna move their pieces when you're not looking. You know, they may take an extra card when you're not looking. They may take some money out the bank when you're not looking. You know, trying to figure out ways to skip stages. They have to pay more down the long haul because we already know it's a spiritual battle. So we already know the greater good is going to clear all that up. What's crazy is, right, this is the crazy part. We understand that the creator, whatever title you want to put on it, puts that work in. But then we make it seem like if we're in the image, we should be able to put that work in too. I couldn't look at nature and then not seeing all of the animals defending their territory, their space, wherever they're at, that, you know, that's theirs at that time, you know, because birds is flying everywhere, but they do have their nests. You know, you got bears that got a certain parameter that's theirs that they like to, you know, do their thing around. So I always have to bring it back to the deeper part of just being connected with the creator. But it's no more. It's no accountability being forced. It's no consequences being forced for these witches and demons. Jumping spaces, skipping spaces, taking your piece, pulling your piece a couple, you know, hops back, you know, just cutting your cord when you not looking, just doing all this weird shit. You know what I mean? Like, I had somebody today when I was on the road, and it was weird because I had just dropped my daughter off at school. Indoctrination school. I hate taking her there. I hate taking her there. I got her weak ass and mama in the way. Anyways, I dropped her off at school today, and I was headed back towards my space, and It was a car. Skip the details. He was in one lane, I was in another lane. I was about to get behind him. I was still way behind him. I was about to get behind him. I realized he was going slower than I wanted to go, so I got back in the lane I was in because I seen traffic moving faster. So when I get back in that lane, I finally catch up to the car that was in front of me. He waits till I almost get right there and slams over to cut me off. When he slammed over to cut me off, I was just... When he did it, he almost hit me because I had to slam on the brakes, and it was me and the median right there. So I'm slamming on the brakes and I'm holding my horn, and he's still going. And I ain't want to get my shit hit, because if I wanted to deal with all that insurance shit, I would have let him hit me. I would have did all that there. I couldn't do it. So I slammed on the brakes. I let him get in front of me. I swerved over in the lane he was in. I sped up, and then I cut his ass off, right? Yeah, I'm being petty. You ain't gotta tell me, you ain't gotta say it out loud, you ain't gotta say it on the inside. In my mind, in my spirit world, I'm already at war. So when I leave out in this parameter and it start being weird shit just happening around me, a lot of things I let slide, I let pass. I'm like, oh, you took a couple dollars out the bank? I don't care, it's a couple dollars. Oh, you put an extra green house on the board? I don't care about that shit. But you took a community chest, it was like too many. This being just happened to take that community chest, and I caught him taking it. And the worst part about it is when I caught him taking it, when I got in front of him, right? Because he had cut me off, but I could see him stick his middle finger up. So then when I got back in front of him, he still stuck his middle finger up. I kept thinking to myself, like, if there was no system in place, I would punish this man physically. Us as men, we always are, we think protective first. So we always size everything up that's in our parameters. You know what I mean? Whether it's like, oh, I could take him, I can't take him. Or he about to get the business. Or I may have to put in a little bit more extra work. But in my mind, it was like one of these weak-ass, nerdy-looking dudes that we see in school with the glasses and they body all weirdly shaped. And he in like a little silver Prius that's like a female's car. And he flicked me off like several times too. And I just kept thinking like, damn, I ain't even do nothing to this man. Like, he went out his way to cut me off and then start flicking me off. And whether it was an invitation from the demons or not, nigga, I was about to accept it. I cut him off. We rode a little bit more. I seen the light was about to turn red. I slammed on my brakes, put that bitch in park. I hopped out the car right at the light. That's how much my buttons have been getting pushed over these past few months. I'm usually not that kind of reactive. But these demons have been skipping so many stages, man, that it's like the same way that Islam, the culture, not the whole culture, but the way their belief system is set up over there overseas, to where we were getting stories about suicide bombing. When you think about suicide bombing, you gotta think about, don't think about, oh, they're just, you know, they're losing their physical body, they're just doing this just to, no, they understand it's a bigger cause and a bigger purpose. So you can be wise when you going to take on something like that, you know what I mean? Because you are being a sacrificial lamb to a degree, but it's for a higher power and a higher purpose. That one right there, he ain't get out the car, he knew better than get out the car, you know what I mean? He knew better. I didn't walk up to his car or anything, I just jumped out, and I had said a couple things. I don't even remember what I said, but I know I don't say too much because naturally I just want to get physical. Like, that's just me personally. I'm a warrior at heart. Like, it's just what I do. But he was trying to skip stages. He don't know who's in that car that he just cut off. You know, he don't know what kind of being that is. You don't even realize how I ride for my team and how the creator ride for me. You know what I mean? And you got some weak ass little demonic being that just feels like they're entitled to just do stuff like that. Like, I be burning up in the inside. I'm like, man, I'm sitting there watching them trying to skip these stages, and they affected me. Why they trying to skip the stages? I'm not skipping those stages. I'm taking on the bare brute of all this force, you know what I'm saying? Everything that comes with walking this lonely road. So some days it's gonna be a little bit harder and rougher than others when you out here in this battlefield, you know what I mean? But we understand the process. There ain't no skipping those stages, you know what I mean? Like, even with that situation, when it happened, because we was in 4-lane traffic, 4 lanes, shit was crazy. It just threw me off because I just dropped my daughter off. I was in good vibes. I was a little sad, but good vibes. And that situation happened. Somebody that I went to high school with was with his girl in the car behind us. I didn't know that. And he was like, when I had hopped out the car and I had got back in the car because the light was turning, he was like, hey. He called my name, and I was like, oh. He was like, man, you gotta calm down, bro. I said, man, this nigga tripping, bro. You saw that, right? You peeped what he had did. He said, yeah, I saw that. That shit was crazy. Then some of the other traffic was looking because they knew what the other driver had did was crazy. So it was just a wild process, you know what I mean? Trying to skip stages. That's what I say, like, you're not gonna be able to do that, you know? So I would just be mindful of that. Even on the hardest days, you know, just be aware that you're not gonna be able to skip no stages. They going to. If you believe in the Creator and you believe in the power within, then you believe that we have power to do something. Something. I ain't gonna say what that something is, but we have the power to do something. I'm gonna leave it at that. Tapping everything down below. Peace and love to the kids and queens.